If you do what is right, will you not be accepted? But if you do not do what is right, sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you, but you must rule over it.
Hi YouTube, welcome back to my channel, and if it's your first time here, welcome. Thank you for joining me today on another Bible story, and today's story will be like a part 2 for the last one because it does follow pretty much straight from after Adam and Eve were kicked out of the Garden of Eden, and the story is the story about Cain and Abel. So, after Adam and Eve are put out of the garden, they do not just disappear from the Bible. They do continue to live their lives outside of the Garden of Eden, and they are fruitful and they multiply. So, Adam and Eve have 2 sons, and they named them Cain and Abel. And many of us don't realize that Adam and Eve do not just disappear from the Bible after they're put out of the Garden of Eden, but that their story is continued on throughout the book of Genesis, where they have these children, although God did curse them, and although Adam has to work hard labor now, and even though Eve knew that she was cursed to painful childbearing, she does go ahead and have some babies. Now Cain was the firstborn and he worked the soil, while Abel was born their second child and he kept flock. Now Cain and Abel both decided that they were going to bring God an offering. Cain brought some fruit to God and Abel brought his firstborn sheep to God. God found Abel's offering to be very pleasing to him, and he was very happy to receive Abel's firstborn sheep. However, with Cain, God wasn't very pleased. It wasn't as pleasing to him. And unfortunately, this caused Cain to be very angry and jealous. He went to God and he said, God, why aren't you pleased with my offering as much as you were pleased with Abel's offering? And God said, well, you just gave me some of your fruit. It wasn't your first. Don't be jealous. Just essentially do better. And that was all that Cain had to do, was just do better. Well, Cain left and he was upset. And instead of doing better next time, he decided that he was going to kill his brother. So he does do that. He ends up killing Abel out of the jealousy in his heart. And when God realizes that what Cain has done, he hears Abel's blood crying up from the ground, and he says to Cain, where's your brother? And Cain says, how should I know? I'm not my brother's keeper. And God says, yes, you are to be your brother's keeper. So God says, well, your brother's blood is crying up from the ground, and because you killed your brother, of course, he curses him, and he tells him that the soil's not going to produce any food for him anymore as it had done previously. So Cain says, this punishment is way too harsh. People are going to kill me. I'm going to be a beggar and I'm going to be hunted down. So God has some mercy on Cain, and he actually marks him that no one can kill him. Cain then leaves God's presence. He goes out and he gets married. He has a wife and he continues his lineage and has children. And also Adam and Eve end up having another child whom they named Seth, and they said that God has allowed them to replace their son Abel. In conclusion, this story was really about just knowing that you are actually your brother's keeper. You are responsible for people that those people that are around you, really blood or no blood. Cain allowed himself to become so jealous that instead of doing better, he actually killed his brother. So this is a pure example of how awful jealousy can be. It allowed him to commit murder of his own blood, and God still had mercy on him, allowing him to live. However, it's just another example of how when you sin against God, you leave out of his protection. And without God's protection, there's a lot more suffering involved than would have been necessary. My greatest takeaway from this story is that although Cain asks God, "Am I my brother's keeper?" God does tell him yes. And this is just a good example. This story is just really a good example of how allowing your jealousy to get in the way of what God said can really become a burden on our own. Because when Cain disappointed God, God didn't punish him. God only told him to do better next time. And instead of doing better next time, he essentially did worse. He killed his own brother, and he ends up being cursed, and he's out of the protection of God. And his life is, he doesn't have the blessings that he could have had because of his jealousy getting in the way of his, of his connection with God, of his connection with God. So guys, I really hope you enjoyed that story. Let me know any other stories you want to hear. Let me know if you knew about this story. Did I miss anything? Any feedback for me? I hope that you come back to hear what story I have for you next. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. I appreciate you, and God bless you.